Hey guys, I'm back with another video. Today we'll be doing what if Deku was abandoned. Yeah. New thumbnail, yeah, like, okay, thanks. New thumbnail. All the perks, right? Let's get into this video. Okay. Oof. The next what if that's will be coming out will be Red Hood. And that's a lot interesting because I'm kinda gonna age, if you don't want spoilers for the next what if, I'm kinda gonna like age them up a little bit. I'm gonna age them up and blah blah blah. Like it's gonna be lit. Deku's actually, you know what? I keep that one to myself. I'll keep that one to myself. I already explained the necessary thing, but if you want me to say it again, basically Deku's gonna have like vampire Batman's powers um and Bat Flash powers. If you or I think it was Bat Flash or Bat Speed or something. Bat Speed's powers, which is just Batman with Flash powers, and then there's like Batman as a vampire thing. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting overall. But anyways, so let's start this. What if we see Deku at the back of UA with Jiro? Jiro has a Mikasa-like hairstyle, but it's much thinner than it was before. But other than that, she looks exactly the same. Her and Deku are kissing, and she pulls off and tells him, "That's what I want." And if you want to know how this is happening, I'll explain. It. Let's flash back towards at least 3 weeks ago, a few days after Deku got the letters from the orphanage. If you know what I'm talking about, you had to watch this. It was in part 2 or 3. I don't know. You had to, so you know what I'm talking about the letter things. It was 2 days after that. Deku went into a store, which is especially a music store, and he saw Jiro. Well, he was looking for a violin because Deku can play violin, and actually he can play the what's called it, piano. It would normally take an average person at least 2 to 3 years. It took Deku a week to master the art of piano. He can play any single, and I mean any single piano musical thing a piano can do. So he's goated, right? So he goes into the store looking for a new violin because he broke his own, and he goes to buy it, right? But then he sees Jiro, and then they start talking, blah blah blah. They start talking. After a while, Jiro comes to his house, and at first he started as a good friendship, but then even the girls, which would be Nejire, Momo, and Mei, because they got used to Jiro, and they wouldn't really mind if Deku like got together with Jiro, because all of them become very good friends, and even they recognized that it was getting more and more and more like a relationship, but Deku haven't said anything about it. So that's where we skip to present time, and we see Deku and Jiro kissing, and Jiro basically said that she wants to get together with Deku, and that ended up happening. Deku ended up telling the girls, blah 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 blah. Deku then Aizawa tells them about the sports festival and how they should get up on it. Deku realized something about his quirk. Well, his energy could take physical form. Well, not physical form. You can see his energy and the energy that he builds up while eating. He realized this a few days ago, and he realized he can store an energy into a certain thing, which would be a significant cloth that is endowed with his blood. So instead of storing energy in his body, he can store it somewhere else where he can use it. And Deku realized that although his clothes turn into paper when he does do something, when he does eventually does something, they tend to tear a little bit. So he decides to go over to May's department and get a professional support course people do his stuff. A few days later, Deku gets a letter and he's going in to check his superhero outfit, or yeah, outfit or something, costume, whatever you want to call it. Deku now sports the same jacket, but he wears a long sleeve, a skin tight long sleeve shirt that's covered. Then he covers. Then he wears a black jacket. At the end of the long sleeve shirt, at the end of the long sleeve shirt, at the end of the long sleeve shirt, there are two red, two red lines on it. These are the things that are made of the specific cloth endowed with his blood, which made them red. So he can store the his energy into his wrist, and then when he gets low on energy, he can go. Then he wears a long sleeve pants with also the skin tight shirt has elbow padding. So yeah, I'll show you what those look like. And he also has long sleeve pants with knee padding and with red shoes. And he still uses his respirator mask thing with the smile on it. And I'll show you those things now. This and he wears red shoes. So he's wearing this shoe without the Nike sign. He's wearing those shoes. He's wearing so this is the knee padding. So he's wearing that, the knee padding. That's what it is. And he wears this. This is the skin tight things. So the lines are also red. The arrows pointing down things, they are red too, and he stores energy in those two. So Jiro and Deku has been going out. Jiro, Deku, Nejire, and Momo and May have been going out on dates because they have time off because of the USJ, and Deku has been reading the letters, and we're gonna find out something very interesting about Deku's family, what happened previous from Deku's family problem thing. So we're gonna find out some stuff about that. So Deku is in the class and they're just talking. They hear something outside and they go. Well, the bell rings and they have to go outside to go for the meet for the sports festival. So they're leaving to go to the first sports festival, and so they're going outside, and this is where they see everyone outside of the classroom looking at them and they're just saying they came to support the competition and blah blah blah. This is where his name is Monoma and what was his name again? Monoma and Mind Control guy. I can't remember his fucking name. Mind Control guy come to the door and start saying, oh, it's always like last video, blah blah blah. And Baku says move out the way, extras and all that shit. Deku just doesn't really care, and he just disappeared in a cloud of black and red marking papers. He just disappears in that, and he goes to goes to the sports festival. Well, goes to the locker room to change into his outfit or his gym outfit, whatever you want to say it is. So Deku goes and he goes in there and he gets his stuff on, blah blah blah. And then they go out to the assembly thingy that they had, where they had to talk and all that, where Bakugo had to talk. But this is what changes. Bakugo wouldn't be talking because remember, Deku was the person who came first in the exams and who is the strongest in the school at this point. So, yeah. So, but Deku wasn't there. But then the paper would start coming off of the ground. Black paper with red markings. Also, 3 people were also in the stands looking at the certain exams. So paper would come out of the ground, and it would come out of the ground, and it would go up in the air. The Some of the paper would be engulfed red with a red, and it would turn into a red flower made out of flames. Then one paper would frost up, and snowflakes would begin to fall. One would be engulfed with lightning and start striking the ground, but it did nothing to the ground. It just struck the ground, making a light show of sorts. And then something would start secreting from the it's actually just cards, but I say paper because yeah, it would be secreting from the paper. It would have this glitter like effect. When it landed on people, it made their skin feel smooth and good. And a swirl of paper started to come where the podium is, and then there appeared Deku. He would start speaking, and all this was happening. So they knew he was doing it because he's the only one to have anything of that sort. And he would say that I'm gonna try my best, so you should try your best in the exams. Everybody would be inspired about this and blah blah blah. Remember, Deku has been training for the sports event, so yeah. So Deku would go, and the first exam would start, which would be the race. Deku would then paper would start swirling around Deku's back, and 4 wings would extend, the same size as you see as in the picture or the thumbnail. You can see Conan with wings, yeah, but imagine 2 more. So yeah, he has 4 wings now, and he flaps them and he starts flying, but in mid-air he disappears, and then he just appears at the end of the race, where the race had just like the midnight just said go, and Deku's already finished, and he goes in, and they what his name is again, President Mike says the winner is Izuku Midoriya for the race, and everyone is shocked to see that this guy just finished it, and is just started it and is finished already. So the people that would come in second would be who would come in second? Todoroki. No. Yeah, Todoroki. Bakugo would be in third. Oh no, Bakugo would use one for all, because he can use it all towards his body, unlike Dorio could when he was doing that. Okay, so Bakugo would be second, Todoroki would be third, and blah blah blah. It doesn't really matter, because all of them are extras, basically, so we don't really have to care about them. But I didn't specify, well no, I didn't say anything. But someone in class 1A would change. But I'll talk about him in a later time. Now, it would start. So the cavalry battle would start, and Deku would just fly in the air. The only person that would try to beat Deku would be Katsuki. It would be Bakugo, Katsuki, and Todoroki. So yeah. But no matter that, because Deku can fly, so he put wings on Momo, and the rest of his teammates would be Jiro, Momo, would be Jiro, Momo, Mei, and and Uraraka. Yeah, Uraraka. I'm gonna put her there. Although she's not a part of the ship. Guys, unless you guys want me to put her a part of the ship, I would. But like, if you don't want me to, I, I wouldn't. I don't care. So yeah. And also, by the way, guys, interruption. Guys, although, so I have two what ifs planned for when I decide to get back into Naruto. I have two what ifs planned. It would be the what if Naruto was neglected and the new what if of Naruto. Which probably you guys would be like, oh no, here I go again with the fucking new ships. I understand your problem with it. But honestly, I don't care because if I don't do something, I'm gonna forget about it over time. So a lot, which happened a lot with all the scripted. Although I have scripts for stuff, doesn't always mean I'm gonna be interested in doing it. So it's best for me to put it out one time before I get bored of something. Like how I got bored of Secret Prodigy and What If Naruto was OP. Although they got me most views, I got bored of it over time because one, Secret Prodigy actually it was actually a pretty good one, but OP was just more or less intercourse than anything else. Than more is this was basically all it was. It wasn't actually anything more than that. Yes, there was some fighting scenes, but other than that, there was no much of a story building. But actually, I didn't mind the intercourse scenes. I didn't really care about them that much. It's not that it was a problem. It was that it was a majority of that, and I had to think of that a lot to do that picture. So I had to get inspiration of sorts. So I had to be calling some people that I never thought I would call before. After this, after we took a significant end to talking to each other, I never thought I would have to call someone. And if you could fill in the gap of what that meant, you can comment down below. If you know what that means, you know what that means. If you don't worry about it. Your mind is too small to comprehend. So you can stay over there. So Deku. So where was I? So I want you guys to tell me what you want me to do after the two what ifs I'm deciding to do of Naruto with this. So like Silent Prodigy is one and OP is another one that I have to do. So but tell me what you want them to play. So I'm gonna do Neglected first. I'll just give you the name. What if Naruto was remembered being Ashura Otsutsuki? Maybe Hashirama if I feel polite about it. Then blah 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 blah. Then it would be that would be Silent Prodigy. No, it would be what if Naruto was OP, and then Silent Prodigy, then blah 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 blah. So the blah blah blahs which would be places that you had to fill in whatever you want me to do. So yeah, so Deku would win the cavalry battle and the race and the cavalry battle. So then the tournament fights would happen. Deku would still be fight with the mind control guy, but Deku is not really of a speaker, so even if Tail guy didn't tell him about it, Deku wouldn't want to talk to him either way. So he doesn't like talking while he's fighting. One of the reasons he talked to Bakugo when he was fighting because he was a villain and he was supposed to get into Bakugo's head. So and he wanted to get in Bakugo's head. So yeah. And by the way, talking on Bakugo, yo, Bakugo is aggro. He angry. He's not the best. He's not the best in school because he's just not the best. He's second to Deku in everything. In fighting, he's second. In classes, well, he's not even second. He's fucking third or no, he's fourth. Yeah, he's fourth because Deku is first, and then there's Momo, blah blah. Yeah. So yeah. So why keep saying so? Yeah, all the time. So Deku beats that guy, and it comes to Deku and Todoroki, which I'll just go into. And the rest of the fights have the same, even with Momo on them. Although she does know how to make things appear on the ground, it's not the best help with people like who his name is what is his nigga's name? Not Sugayomi. That's his hero name. It's Sugayomi basically. It's not the best thing with Sugayomi, so it's not the best. So Dark Shadow can just go over the things, so it's not the best for him in fighting towards. So that's sad. But anyways, every fight from there, even the Bakugo plus Uraraka fight happen the same. But Deku heals Uraraka, and because he has healing paper, so he can heal Uraraka. And Deku's also been working on a technique, but I'll get to that later. So Deku goes. So it's time for Deku and Todoroki. But Todoroki wouldn't say the thing about All Might, but you would tell Deku that he will win, and Deku doesn't, like always, doesn't give a fuck. He can give less of a fuck. He's lost the ability to give fucks. So he has no more fucks to give. So he's just out here chilling. So he doesn't really care what Todoroki says because he's gonna lose either ways. It doesn't matter. And know what? Just to rub it in Bakugo in Todoroki's face, he would only use fire and ice cards. That's all he's gonna use. He's not gonna use explosions. He's not gonna use acid. He's not gonna use any of his special techniques. He's just gonna use fire and ice. That's it. But Todoroki would tell Bakugo what he told Midoriya about the secret love childness and stuff, and Bakugo would get a little aggro and say blah blah blah, but Deku wouldn't care. So he would just walk. So the announcer would call, or President would call out, Uzuku Midoriya. And this would shock 3 people in the stand, and the other would be Todoroki. Shoto Todoroki, sorry. I think it's Todoroki. No, it would be Todoroki Shoto, and Midoriya Izuku. So, yeah. Love me, say that you love me. So Deku would go in the stands, not the stands, the arena, and so would Todoroki. Now Deku would put out 4 cards. Well, paper. Cards. Whatever you want to say the fuck they are. Anyways. And some of the cards would release frost, which is actually just ice. So when it makes contact with anything, that thing would turn into ice spikes and stuff like that. And then the rest would turn into fire. So Deku would shoot them towards Todoroki. And when it hit the ground near Todoroki, which Todoroki was expecting to hit it, and he said, "You missed," and Deku would say, "I never miss." And then it would burst into ice, and this would shock Endeavor, and Todoroki. Then the fired cards would come, and when it hit the ground right next to towards Todoroki, it would burst in red fire. And red fire, what temperature red fire? It's as hot as cremation, but it's still red instead of actually being cremation. So yeah, do what you do with that. So the cards would be following Todoroki, and Todoroki would having be to dodge and parry, but he's only using ice, so he's freezing up quick. Hypothermia. He's getting freezed up quick, and he's running out of stamina. And Deku says, "Why don't you use your fire?" And Todoroki says that he's not gonna use his quirk. And Deku says, "What do you mean?" And then Todoroki explain about how he hates his father, and everyone can hear them. Yeah, I don't understand why people couldn't hear them in the normal canon when in Attack on Titan this nigga's up on a 2 foot not 2 foot, this big ass wall, right? This big ass wall, and talking, and everybody down there can hear him. But okay, okay. So Deku is just there, and so he's saying that how he hates his father and blah blah blah, what he did and whatever, right? So Deku's like, I don't like my father. Actually, I hate my father. You know what? Better yet, despise of him. You don't see me there like, oh, I'm not gonna use my quirk because I hate my father. No, I'm gonna use my quirk because I want to use my quirk because it is my quirk. Here's the name, my quirk. If it was someone else's, the person could take it back from me. But guess what? My father can't take back my quirk because it's not his. So hey, and my father didn't give you my quirk. I was born with my quirk. My quirk might be a derivative of his, but it's not his quirk. And I can use my quirk with absolute post pro post post know what, fuck it. You can use his quirk way better than his father can, and his father is, to the bare minimum, is him when he was a kid. So it doesn't really matter towards Deku that it's not his quirk. And you might, and then he did admit his quirk is a combination of his mother's quirk and his father's quirk, but that still doesn't give me a fuck to give, because I have my mother had telekinesis, my dad had a tree quirk. My quirk turned into derivative to make it paper, and my mom's quirk of telekinesis makes me able to control paper. But it doesn't mean that I am my father. That is my father's and mother's quirk. It is my quirk. And Todoroki understands, well, feels close to Deku in doing this, and then he's like, I've been stupid, I admit, because he realizes that Deku doesn't like his parents either. Well, he doesn't like his father, because his mother openly showed that that she didn't want this to happen, but his father did not have any fucks to give about it. So he like, okay, fuck my dad, but my mom, she's okay. So yeah, and three people in her stands are shocked, but I'll get back to them in a later part of this what if. So Todoroki is shooting ice and fire this time towards Deku, and Deku says, that's how I like it. And he amps up the power of his ice cards and his fire cards. And then they're going to shoot towards each other. And this is where what is his name? Cemento? Yeah, Cementos puts up the wall. And you just have a big explosion that you could see for miles. But it didn't hurt anybody, because when Deku realized it was going to hit the stadium, he put up a like barrier closing off the view of the people. So Deku can react at light speed. Yes, he can react at light speed because he's been training with Nejire, so he kind of has to react at light speed at this point. So he has to react to light speed. So he can react to light speed at some point, but he can't. But he can move at light speed. Anyway, I don't really care. So the people saw the explosion coming towards them, and then they saw the paper protecting them at the same time. So then when the paper fell, they saw Deku with 4 wings in the sky flying, and they saw Todoroki on the other side at the wall of the stadium, knocked out. And they could see on Deku's side there was fire, and half of it was fire and the other half was ice. And they, on the Todoroki side, it had some fire and ice crystals there, but it wasn't as much as Deku's, showing that if Deku's hit Todoroki would have died. Well, not died, but he would be really, really injured. More injured than he was just now, because the explosion hit him, and it hit him hard. So Deku also tried to protect Todoroki, but Todoroki ended up protecting himself through it too. So Deku didn't really need to do anything. So Todoroki would end up losing, and Deku would be the winner. And everyone is just cheering because Deku protected them, beat Todoroki all at the same time. And they just saw that as amazing, and it was amazing because bro, man's hardcore badass. So everyone is shocked because let's say it has finished cameras in the sky. I don't care. So they actually saw the fight outside. They saw the explosion right after. They saw the explosion and how big it was if Deku didn't protect them. So they were like, oh my god, that shit was heat. So everyone's like, yeah, Deku's good and all that shit. So then Deku would fight the fights that Todoroki fought, and everything would go the same. But Mei would beat Ida because she has perfect target or target eyes, whatever it is, and she does use repulsor guns. They're repulsor with a repulsor, so they're repulsor beam guns. Basically, that's basically what they are. So they're powered by repulsor beams. The doi. So yeah. She would win, but she would then end up forfeiting because she doesn't really. Because all she wanted to show were her skills, and she knows that she can't fight Deku after this. So, but no, she couldn't fight. Well, she could actually fight Dark Shadow, but he doesn't. Actually, no. She couldn't fight Todoroki. So not Todoroki. I mean Deku. So she forfeits right after she wins. So then it comes to Bakugo and Deku's fight. So Deku says, just for this Koski. He did say Kacchan just now, but who cares? I'm only gonna use one part of my quirk, which would be explosions. Just for the irony. And Bakugo would say, what do you take me as, you damn nerd? Last time you used all of them. And Deku said, yeah, I used all of them because I was a villain. A villain doesn't hold anything back. Their aim is to kill you. But I'm not a villain right now, am I? I'm a hero. So I'll play more friendly. And Deku, then Paper starts barreling towards Bakugo. And when they got close to Bakugo, they started exploding. But Bakugo parried with some of his explosions. So he blocked some of the explosions, but he got hit with a few of them. And at this point, Deku has not been touched in the whole exam, and Bakugo is aiming to also beat but touch Deku at the same time. So he's exploding, gliding towards Deku, and Deku's just shooting more explosion paper at him. And Bakugo is just shooting more and more explosions, getting him tired, and he's not realizing he's tired yet. But Deku is getting tired, but again, he has way more stamina and power than anybody else, so he's not really bothered by this. He can use all his quirk at once, which would take out more than just using one. Well, not quirks, parts of his quirk. He can use multiple of the papers at once, but it's not like it takes less effort to only use one power of the paper, so it doesn't really take much out of him. So Paper and Explosion Paper are just barreling towards Bakugo, and he propels himself into the air and shoots up explosion towards Deku, and Paper forms in a form of a shield blocking the explosion. But Bakugo wanted this to happen, and he thought Deku could only configure one thing at once, so he pushed himself down with the explosions and still in midair and shoots explosion towards Deku's belly. Gut, and Deku just put up a shield, which shocked Bakugo because again he thought that Deku couldn't do more than one, because he only have done one before, and so he's like, oh my god, and he just starts trying to beat Deku. And Deku is not a close range fighter, which he does admit is a problem with him. He might have a lot of physical strength, but he doesn't know how to use that physical strength. In the case his quirk got fucked up and he can't use any more paper, he's technically defenseless. So he notes that and decides that he's gonna fix that at some point in time. So Deku starts. So that's why he doesn't let anybody get really close to him when they're fighting, because if they get beyond his barrier, he is fucked. And he knows that, because although he is way overpowered, he does have some weaknesses and mind control and close combat. So right now he knows he's if Bakugo gets close, but he doesn't admit it that way. If Bakugo gets close, he is fucked, and I mean thoroughly fucked. So that's why he doesn't want anybody touching him. And that's why he also came up with the idea to turning himself into paper. And that was the main reason that he learned how to turn himself into paper, because he didn't want to get touched. So he know he ain't good with the hands yet. So he knows where his limits at. So Bakugo should try to get close to Deku and trying to break through his barrier that he has. So Bakugo kinda almost breaks it by throwing an explosion near Deku's face, but then it hits Deku. Well, kind of hits Deku. Yeah, it's one of Deku's secret techniques. He doesn't really tell anybody. Only person that knows about it is Nejire, because Nejire is the only person that ever hit him before, and that's because she can also use her energy beams at light speed. So Nejire, she a different breed. So yeah. So Nejire isn't standing watching because her festival finished already, and she's just looking at Deku fight, and Deku's just dodged, but then the explosion hit him. So that's from her point of view, and Deku flies away, but not flies away as in he used his wings to fly. He just gets knocked away, which Bakugo thinks he won, because he knew Deku was not a fighter, a street fighter, and he was also using one for all. So that's why he was able to get into Deku's perimeters. So it hits Deku, and Deku stands up, but Deku just, you can see burn marks on him, and then Deku's face starts to get cracks and lines in it, and then he just burst off of paper. And this is the first time that then they realized Deku was wearing a shell. So Bakugo never actually touched him. He touched paper basically. So then Bakugo's like mad, and he's really mad because he worked up all of that to get nothing. And Deku just says, all that effort for just a touch, and it didn't even land. And Bakugo says, you damn nerd, and he charges at one for all at full power using 100%, and he blasts towards Deku. Now people realize if that hits them, they are dead, and Deku just says fuck no and fuck that, and he uses a whole ton of paper, and he says Katsk, and all that paper blows up and barrels towards Bakugo's explosion, matching the explosion, siphoning it off. And Bakugo's arms, all two of his arms are broken, and Deku just appears in front of Bakugo and punches him in the gut, and Bakugo was in so much pain of his arms being broken and his legs being broken, because he used one falls on his legs too to shoot him closer to Deku, because that's how he did the explosion, and the concussion force of him getting hit by the explosion and being barreled back. Oof, that fucked him up. Fucked him up real good. I got the move, Majaga. I got the move, Majaga. Anyways, and he disappeared, and he just was knocked out, and Deku was declared the winner. Now, after Deku gets his medal and blah blah blah, which Deku didn't really care that All Might gave it to him. He doesn't really give a fuck about All Might, like I said in canon. So Deku goes to the infirmary to get checked up, and this is where he comes out of the infirmary, and Nejire, Momo, Jiro, and Mei are behind him, and they come out to see basically an older Izuku with curly hair, and a woman with the green hair with yellow eyes behind this man. And Deku looks at this man and says, "Dear Dad, how are you?" with a sarcastic tone. And he would say, "Good, my son." Deku would laugh at that part. Huh. He would then walk past his father and hug Inko and says, "I missed you, Mom." And Inko would be crying and said, "I missed you too, son." Now, Momo, Jiro, Nejire, and Mei, or Hachime, would be shocked to see that, and well, see Deku interact with his parents. They expected that towards his father, but they didn't expect him to hug his mother, because he said his family, meaning all of them. Well, no, he said his parents. So parents abandoned him. He didn't specify who did it. So he didn't clear it out though, which was on Deku's fault on part. So Deku's also, but you couldn't see it at the point because Deku's facing his back is facing them. But Deku has tears in his eyes, and he's hugging her tightly, and she says it's okay, Uzuku, and Deku comes off, wipes his tears before the girls can see him cry, and he introduces his mother to his girlfriends. And Momo, I mean, like in an instant, they get pulled towards Inko, and Inko is just hugging them. She used her telekinesis to attract them towards her, and she just hugging them and rubbing her face against them, and Deku's like steering down his father, like steering him down, and he says, "I guess you weren't worthless at all, like I thought you were, Deku." Izuku. And Deku says, "I honestly don't care what you think of me, father." And Class 1A is like seeping between the corners, and they see in Deku's interaction with his parents. They see this, but in particular his father, and Deku would say, "Why are you here? Why are you here, Dad?" And Hazashi would say, "Is it so wrong to see my son?" And Deku said it is, because last time I checked, you left me off at the orphanage because oh yeah, my quirk was weak. Deku's dad would say, "Stop thinking about the past." And then Deku would say, "The past is all that I have." And his father would say, "Don't be so bitter, Deku." And Deku would say, "Don't be such an ass, father." Deku would then turn his back towards him, and he noticed something before, but he didn't know what it was before, but he noticed it again, and he goes to his mother, and he turns, looks at the back of her, and asks, "Who's that behind you, Mom?" And Inko would pick this little person up, and say, "Your brother, Izuku." And Deku would say, "My brother, huh?" And this child would say, "You have the same name as me." And Deku would instantly know what happened. Basically, Deku was replaced and even given the same name because, and Inko didn't name Deku. It was his father who named him. All right. No. Should I give him Deku's be his actual name? So Deku's name is Deku Midoriya, and then the boy name is Izuku Midoriya. So they don't have the same name. Izuku's name is Deku, and the Deku's brother names is Izuku. So it's Deku Midoriya and Izuku Midoriya. So Deku has a brother. So basically, this Deku's brother, or Izuku, it is just canon Deku with black and yellow eyes. He doesn't have the gray part of Deku's hair, and he just says, "Tosan." Oh no, Nissan, Nissan, you're so cool. And Deku smiles and says, and rubs his head and says, "Thank you." And Deku lifts up this tiny child and just is connecting with his brother. And Inko says, "Deku, how has it been?" Because she hasn't seen Deku since they like kind of abandoned him. Well, his father abandoned him, and she's Mama Midoriya. You cannot expect me to hate Mama Midoriya. Like, guys, if you thought this was gonna happen, you can shame yourself. And who knew I was gonna do this from the start? Say Mama Midoriya in the comments. Like, it's that easy. Mama Midoriya for the win. Anyways, so he's just holding his brother, and so Deku, so they didn't replace him. Well, they did. Deku's father did try to replace him, and then Deku asked his mom what his quirk is, and she says tree manipulation or wood manipulation, and Deku smiles and says, "You finally got what you want, father." And Deku just gives Izuku back to his mom and just walk past his father and says, "Bye, mom. Bye, Dick," and he just leaves. But this is where I'm gonna leave off of this video. Yes, it was short, I know, but like, I gotta get working on the script for Red Hood, so I cannot be caught lacking. So yeah, I need to get ready on that on that quirk. And guys, I think this would be the video after Red Hood, which would be the new what if, not you would have, the video after that. So do what you do with that, guys, and that'll be it for me today, guys. So see ya.